Welcome to the Batman Book Club's Return to No Man's Land, Part 7. I am the host, Ryan Lauer, and joining me, as always, is a man who just finished pre-gaming with some Fruit Loops. It's our favorite Italian, Peter Verra. Hello, Pete.
I did. I went for the Ryan Lauer sugar-filled special.
Yeah, it was great, right?
How do you feel about Fruit Loops? I know you're a big cereal guy.
Oh, I like Fruit Loops.
Where's it rank in the Lauer power rankings?
It's never the first one I track down, but you know, if it's part of the cereal prices these days, you gotta look for the sales. But if it's one that's on sale, I'll usually, because anymore too, like stuff that's on sale, you got to get like 4 or 5 boxes at a time.
Do you ever try the store brands?
The generics, yeah, they just don't taste the same anymore. I used to when I was younger. I used to eat the off-brand
and they were comparable.
Stuff. Yeah, because I was a kid and it was fine. And then I got older and I was like, no, I need.
What is your favorite cereal?
Good stuff. That's hard because I go through spurts. A consistent top always is Honey Nut Cheerios.
Okay.
But then I mean cycle in of Fruity Pebbles and Golden Grams and Lucky Charms.
Fair enough. No, I mean, yeah. My favorite is Fruit Loops, definitely.
Fruit Loops. I'm proud of you.
If I want to go like healthier, I go Honey Nut Cheerios. I love Honey Nut Cheerios.
I do too. And I love that too. Like I'm eating healthy at 10:30 p.m. with a bowl of Honey Nut Cheerios. You know, it's part of a balanced breakfast.
Healthy diet.
Exactly. Pete, it's been a couple months since we've been in the
so you're telling me it's been a while.
It has. Schedules did not work out well for us. But we're here.
No. Oddly enough, though, we can find time to get the monthly recap in. We get that.
I think we've prioritized that. We make sure to get that in every month.
It's almost like a badge of honor. It's like I read more than you, loser.
Well, I mean, a little bit. Now that list has cut down so much. It's like not as impressive for us. Granted, it's not as much work for us, but it's not as impressive. But we did 30 issues this month. No big deal. Now we're at 12, 13, but that'll probably pick back up.
Meanwhile, the silent protest against Batman Incorporated continues.
Yeah, I know. It's just never mentioned. I might even just I might even censor. I might even edit that and censor so that you don't even mention the title.
Yeah.
we don't talk about that one here.
That's the Gotham of print.
Yep. I've never even cracked it open to take a look.
Same here. Never. I've never read any issue of Batman Incorporated ever.
And I don't see anybody else talking about it either. So
Chris Cloud,
I don't feel like I'm
a big fan.
He does. Okay. Well, I will never disrespect the professor.
I can't.
No.
But sometimes it's like, wow, even Chris Cloud makes bad decisions.
Pete said it. I didn't say it. Pete's comments are not
they do not reflect the Batman Book Club.
But let's go ahead and Pete, let's crack open back again this big beast.
I took the jacket
coming
off.
to the end.
I think it's a little bit
I'm
easier
getting ready
to handle.
maybe I'll edit some there
you go.
And as I remove that, as I flip through this, because we have just 12 issues left of this omnibus. So we're gonna crack 6 of those 12. Talk about them here real quick. And let me flip so I can make sure to list them all correctly. In order. These 6 issues are the Batman Chronicles number 15, Batman number 560, Batman number 561, Detective Comics number 727, Detective Comics number 728, and Batman Shadow of the Bat number 80. First thoughts on these, Pete. It's funny though, because we've had a bit of a gap of opening this omnibus, but everything still felt pretty fresh when I dove back into.
Well, we've scheduled this episode like 3 times, so I've read these issues. At least
these issues are very fresh, but I mean, as far as like everything we've talked about so far and where we're at in the story here, it still remains pretty fresh. And I didn't have to go back and read a couple things and flip through. But for this batch, how did you feel as far as this batch went?
Not a lot of Batman. I
True.
thought.
Yeah.
But not a lot of Batman. I found that interesting. A lot of Bruce Wayne, a lot of very good Bruce Wayne. And that's very interesting because I feel like Bruce Wayne gets lost in the shuffle a lot. You know, Batman obviously is the star and rightfully so, but there's a lot of very excellent Bruce Wayne in these 6 issues. And then there's some really interesting a-hole Batman moments early on, right? When you start, you meet some very early 2000s villains
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of sidekicks. So Bill would hate everything about this poster.
I think he said before
Really
he's not a fan of No Man's Land.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that somebody even mentioned the BO Facebook group was like, "Hey, have you guys listened to the Batman Book Club Return to No Man or Road to No Man's Land stuff?" And Bill's like, "I like that show. I like those guys. Hate No Man's Land." Not a fan. But so something that you said though, not a lot of Batman. I do agree, and I think with a big epic like this, because I think probably at the time even you knew what this is. You can take it's almost like a long season of television. You can take an episode that maybe isn't Batman just kicking and punching and kicking ass in the suit, and you take one episode that's just strictly Bruce Wayne. This big epic, you can take some issues where it's pretty much just Bruce Wayne. And I think that did help push the story along where the story, was heading. And
well, those Bruce Wayne moments are basically that's what it is. It moves the story along.
Yeah,
and it's probably the best stuff within these 6.
I agree. So those are Batman 560 and 561. Bruce Wayne Goes to Washington.
Which should be considered classics, even if you don't like No Man's Land. Those 2 issues really do a wonderful job of defining who Bruce Wayne is as a persona, what Batman can use Bruce Wayne for. He's even kind of meta in a way where he does address the fact that he's like, I'm more than a socialite playboy. You guys know that, right? Like, and he's talking to Congress too. Like, we've seen Rafael Palmeiro go, I didn't do steroids, but Bruce Wayne, he went there telling the truth.
Written by Chuck Dixon with art from the, one of the greats, Jim Aparo.
Mm-hmm.
I think so, like you said, in our minds, because the Dark Knight trilogy was done so well, in our minds, I think, and in a lot of minds, is the facade public Bruce Wayne and how different that is from the private one. And yet these moments really felt like almost kind of one and the same a little bit of Batman and Bruce Wayne, except he was definitely being much more human and I think open
around certain
serious.
Company, yes.
But it was good, and like that speech. So I think it's 561 where he's in the hot seat and giving the speech, and then I love how throughout the whole issue, the right side is a full page of Batman moments, like drawn to perfection by
a lot
Aparo.
of historical Batman moments,
Yeah, that directly reflect or not reflect, like relate to what he's talking about. And it's like those words popping up of part of his speech, but you have like those images of, the murder of the Waynes and little Bruce there with the police and the bat through the window and then Batman kicking some ass. And then you have all the villains and like all that. That was your Batman. Oh, and then of course, like, Batman versus Roz page.
I mean, my heart melted.
I was going to say,
in the words of Justin Qualls,
you
that was the greatest artist ever.
But that all worked. Like that was your Batman fix for, I think, 2 issues that were, I feel like, probably necessary for this. And you've been teasing these for a long time. You've been saying Bruce Wayne Goes to Washington. So go ahead and gush about these.
Well, to be honest, I don't miss Batman in these 2 issues at all because I know this is all part of the plan, right? Like this is what Batman does. This is what Batman will do. And he will just use what I would say is the real mask of Bruce Wayne, or of Batman is Bruce Wayne, because he can go out there and do the light night stuff, out in the open. He can be in Congress fighting for Gotham City, and he can be Batman at night, punking a lobbyist who's corrupt, So that's why you don't miss Batman at all, to be honest. At least in these 6 issues, you not really, because it's Bruce Wayne's out there doing the work.
He does the work.
He's doing the work, man.
He inspired us,
and nobody believes him. I mean, like everyone's totally against him as you read on. Like Lucius, Alfred. Actually, I think Alfred's the one who might actually believe in him. But the Bat Team, Oracle, Robin, Nightwing, like no one really thinks Bruce has really got a shot, especially against. I don't know, who is this punk rock Jesus? Like, what is this guy? I can't remember this
Nick
guy's
Scratch.
name. Yeah, Nick Scratch. I'm like, oh, God,
Nick Scratch.
can we get rid of this punk rocker?
Punk rock Jesus. Oh man. Shout out Sean Murphy. There you go. No, I think that's a good point too, is you do have, and I mean in classic Bruce fashion too, kind of like if everybody's telling him don't do it, don't go and stuff, but he's he's defiant
He's
and
too
like
damn
this is the right
stubborn
thing to
listen to
do.
you. Yeah,
This is the right thing to do. Gotta go. And if nothing else, it's at least projecting the message out there too. So like I just think that there were great issues. And then of course you have the fat senator who's questioning him, and of course is kind of the villain there in Congress too. And glad Bruce got a little feisty back with him, and then that guy. But those two issues, because I mean, I guess the second one, so 561 is his whole speech, but they the two go together. But that was the highlight moment for me for sure. Was that issue? It was surrounded by, of course, I think the a-hole Batman thing that you mentioned was the Batman Chronicles number 15 that kicked off the batch, because old Kyle Rayner,
which I thought was a great story. My only gripe is when he takes the ring, shouldn't Kyle's uniform disappear? Isn't that kind of how it works, or is this?
I'm not
a later on retcon.
Well versed in Lantern lore enough, but I had kind of a similar thing. I thought that is like ring comes off.
I'm gonna have this Donnie about this,
but I mean, it didn't completely hold me up. But yeah, I mean,
I also think the issue was fun though. I enjoyed it.
Issue was fun. I kind of didn't mind Batman being a-hole Batman.
I love a-hole Batman. Like that era of Batman, it will always be kind of like my favorite imprint.
Yeah. It because a lot of times too, if it's Gotham, in Gotham, you have one of those, 27 sidekicks that are kind of like, I have a right to be here, and he's just like,
yeah, it's just different.
It's like it's Batman City. Like it's his city. Shut up, get out. He did it first. You wouldn't even exist if he wasn't around. But I thought so the Kyle Rayner part, I thought that one was fun. I kind of thought the Man-Bat issue was weird, and part of it might have been by the
extremely weird.
The design of Man-Bat I didn't like.
Yeah, like he looked like he looked like Steppenwolf.
Yeah.
Right? He looked like naked Steppenwolf.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Just brown with horns. I don't know. I thought that was the weakest issue of the bunch. I didn't particularly like the art that much either. Just because Man-Bat's design's so weird. He almost looks like a gargoyle, more or less.
And he's such a character that I think you can have a lot of fun with his design. They're all relatively in the same stratosphere.
I mean, you can't really see him because he's in the dark, but I have the McFarlane Man-Bat,
which is awesome.
Here, which is perfect.
We both have that one and I've gushed plenty about it.
There were some interesting points in it though, like Barber says his name and that kind of strikes a chord with him. Like he's not totally gone there yet. That was kind of cool. I just thought it was weird how she was was Barber keeping Man-Bat around? Like they mentioned there was a sonar and she was like, was this her way of keeping track of him in no man's land? If that was, then it could have been portrayed better. And then later on, like Barbara brags about the security in her bell tower. Meanwhile, she's getting broken into and has to get saved by Man-Bat. Like within a couple issues, there's some contradiction here.
Well, I just kind of felt too, they went with the never-ending story where, cover where she's just riding on top of him and she, sort of like, And I don't remember many specifics as far as story and stuff like that of like, because I just don't think I just didn't enjoy it. It's hard for me to sit there and say like something's not good because somebody else may really enjoy this. For me, it's like I read it and I didn't get anything out of it other than like I just don't like this. Just doesn't bode well. It doesn't look good. Easily kind of forgettable. And then you move on to the last part. I mean, it's one of your favorites, old Huntress.
Yeah,
with Greg Rucka.
You can see Huntress kind of change a little bit throughout the course of the story, which will set kind of the precedent for Huntress going forward. Like the No Man's Land kind of really defines her as a character. By character's end, she's the Huntress you've probably been more familiar with. But there was a nice little moment here for her, and she got a little redemption. She kind of, even though you could tell though, even though she has issues with Batman and what he does and how he operates. She
Yeah.
does want to kind of play within those means. She just
Mhm.
kind of does it a little bit by her own way, but she's starting to learn a little bit that, you shouldn't kill some people. So
Yeah. And I know you said when she like first popped up in this omnibus too, and you mentioned her and how she's got quite a journey, and you teased it, you fluffed it up pretty good on like, oh, she's pretty good in this whole story and how she evolves. And I think we've been able to see it through the snippets that she's been in. Of she's never like not a good character, like not a good person or something like that. It's just like she's a little bit more vengeful, a little bit more of the like, well, kill him, I could get rid of him sort of mentality, and she's slowly come around and become more and more heroic. And uh I don't know, like here too, she does it, and then even with she ends up with the question. um I thought it was cool, and I definitely got like some panels were done really well where I think she resembled like a Jim Lee version of Huntress. Roger
okay,
Cruz did the pencils of this. I mean, just on the first page of her story, like that second panel, I don't know, I saw some Jim Lee
which kind of makes sense.
there.
Like I look at this and I see kind of like this looks like what a '90s Marvel book, how a '90s Marvel book was
There you go.
drawn.
Gotcha.
You know,
Yeah. I don't think that any of these stories are crucial. Um, two of the three were fun, enjoyable. The fact that they're included in here is why I read them, though. I don't think that I would have ever been one to like, I have to get down and get that. Shut up at the back. Batman Chronicles, that's whatever.
I think when you're talking the Hunter story, I think is very crucial to her character. I think the Bruce Wayne
Okay,
versus
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Washington
All
stories
right,
are very
gotcha.
crucial to the story overall. You know,
Yeah,
so
makes sense.
to be honest, I think like half of the stories are I think essential reading, for specific characters alone, and two of the three are essential reading because of what they provide for the story.
That's a good point. I've been contradicted. Wrong. The
Jay Oliva will
detective.
be coming by for your bat card in about 3 days.
He will. I understand. I mean, maybe I'll just tell him save the gas, and I'll just mail it. I'll just mail it to him.
Okay.
Detective Comics 728, Pete. Little Robin and Nightwing action versus Nick Scratch, your favorite punk rock Jesus, his crew.
I am
And Firefly.
so tired of Nick Scratch. I like the Firefly stuff. I it's so funny. Like I love No Man's Land. I've totally forgot about Nick Scratch as a character. And I remember why he's just not a good character. I was like, oh god, who is this guy with this?
He's
He's got the haircut. I feel like a lot of people have this haircut now, though.
yeah,
It's faded on the side, it's long on the top, a little wave. So like
yeah,
he's
going a
got
little
that
more
going
punk.
for him.
It's funny to me that you forgot about him though, considering which I told you I read this stuff like once. So I mean, I didn't remember him, but of course I don't feel like I would have. But he's so attached to like the Bruce and Washington and Azrael aspects of
I
these
think a
issues.
lot of it has to do with the
But
fact that I just don't like the Azrael stuff.
yeah, my
Like
man.
that's his first appearance, isn't it? In the story,
Yeah,
like Azrael goes to a concert dressed as Azrael.
as
His
you do.
cosplay was go everywhere back in like 1996.
Yeah. With these two, so I didn't love these two. I did like them though, and I mean I think for the Dick and Tim working together aspects, I really liked it.
Mm-hmm.
Always enjoy like those two characters interacting. It did drop a little bit of like a nugget of the Gordons thinking about leaving Gotham, which then
Yeah.
carries into the next one, in which you feel for Jim Gordon in the
Mm-hmm.
next issue, in 728, where
Oh, just painful.
interviews somewhere else, and then he overhears because he leaves his glasses or something in the
Spectacles.
office.
Yeah.
He has to go back, and he overhears them basically just like talking shit about him and everything, and then his talk with Sarah is basically kind of just like, I can't leave Gotham, like I'm a mockery outside Gotham. And there's something there a little bit. So us as being fan, like we love Gordon. He's a fan favorite, obviously. Nothing but respect to Gordon. You say that he's a good cop and all that stuff, but it's like, okay, but get out of the bubble. You have a city that is consistently corrupt, consistently crime heavy and everything, and he's been in charge, and it probably does not bode well that,
Yeah.
okay, well, I don't think this guy's doing his job. Like, But we need more comic book stories. So keep Jim Gordon there. But I like I liked that
I just
little
felt
piece.
for Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
I did. It just felt very painful.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh man, like this is the truth. This is how everyone sees Gotham City.
Yeah.
It's everyone just kind of, and it's kind of wondering. I'm like, well, what about Keystone and Metropolis? Is nobody else? It's not like Gotham's the only city in DC America.
It has problems.
We've got Coast City is pretty. By the time that this book was published, I believe Coast City was destroyed entirely. Gotham was at least is standing after an earthquake, barely. So that was interesting in my mind. Like, it's just a huge DC head, just going back and thinking about stuff like that. But
yeah,
it's always nice to get the Dick and Tim stuff.
But with Gordon, the Gordon part though, like it does help. It does inform of, okay, he's not going anywhere, and then he ends up rallying, part of the GCPD. So you just kind of like, going forward, that's good.
When we get to No Man's Land and they start setting up gangs, the GCPD becomes a gang at one point, and this is the birth of that gang.
Yeah. So it all, and I don't know if that was even in this issue or if I was thinking ahead. Whoopsie, I was probably thinking ahead. Anyways,
thinking ahead.
Yep, that's what I do.
That's what they do. You know why? Because they don't really separate them by the covers in the book.
Yeah,
and it's like not all the pages are numbered in the omnibus, which is weird.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Only some pages are numbered. It's very peculiar. Like when this book was printed, it wasn't page 795.
Yeah.
You had to put that number on there.
Yeah, like I'm just flipping through now, and it's just like there's no page numbers anywhere. You turn a page, so like, 1066.
That's
and
why
then there's no page.
All of a sudden, I just see Dick and Tim, and I'm like, okay, that's what we're doing. We're talking about them.
Oh yeah, Dick.
Dick on the mind.
Rabble.
Can't stop thinking about Dick.
Yeah.
Grace.
All day, every day. Yeah, Dick Grayson.
John Grayson.
The ending page on here, let's see, Batman Shadow of the Bat number 80.
Can we go back to what you just said about the Gordons?
Yeah, go for it.
This moment, Sarah, it's like something like there's, I don't know if they knew what they were doing, but like come the end of the story, you're like, damn. Because like I feel like Sarah wasn't really established that much. Right, we know she's the other woman. We know that Gordon had the affair with her, but I think No Man's Land also does a good job of setting up really what Sarah is all about, and she actually does care about Jim and so on and so forth. And being on the job helps out their relationship more than it hinders it, like his previous marriage. Yeah. But like this is a nice little like scene between the two of them that you will think about later on. At least like because I'm thinking about the end of the story already.
Yeah, I'm with you. There's one thing that happens in No Man's Land that I do remember, and I'm sure everybody does remember, and I think having the moments like you just mentioned, though, I think are crucial because it's good to have more of those two, like moments of those two. And so having that of the discussion of like leaving Gotham, and then Jim goes to try, comes out of that interview and talks to Sarah, and then he has to go back, and then when he's done and they get rammed by Nick Scratch's crew, they're back in Gotham and with their accident, and
what a horrible
those
name.
Are all I know. I don't understand. I don't know, but I'm with you on like it just builds for the story down the road, helps you establish give some more weight. Something that really confuses me, and I think confused me every time that I open this omnibus, was the cover to Batman Shadow of the Bat number 80 is Batman and Azrael. So I just kept thinking like, wait, is this Agent of the Bat? Is this Agent of the Bat? And then you open it and it's an Arkham story. Waxman and the Clown. And I was like, wait, what's this have to do to Azrael? Why is Azrael on the cover? I bet that didn't sell well.
You mean comic covers have nothing to do with what's inside?
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Anyways, this is the last issue of this batch, but it's interesting story. The art is kind of like, the art's kind of
what story are we on right now, so I know where we are. We got Chaos
This is
Squared.
the big. Let's see. Hold on a second. This is Shadow the Bat number 80. This is Waxman and the Clown.
Waxman.
And it's like the background of each page is like this. You almost want to be like rock background. And then there's like smaller, the page itself is within that. So that it's like that's kind of
You're confined within the walls of Arkham Asylum.
Yeah. And then the art itself for each characters, it's like it's definitely not bad. It's definitely not my favorite. But it is like its own thing.
I didn't like this.
The issue as a whole.
I didn't like the story as a whole. Mostly because the whole it just didn't strike my fancy. I don't know. Like I get like they needed to get the villains out of the asylum somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like the Joker would have tricked Arkham into thinking he was there and killed him. Like,
well,
I just feel like he would have left.
The looking ahead, so this issue was part as a 3-part arc. And only the first part was in this batch. As I was reading this batch, I was getting a little like, okay, let's move it on. Let's move on. Come on.
Especially the first story, especially, yes. The first story, especially.
Come on. Let's get going. And so it is like checking in on how Arkham is. And I mean, there are points, and I know with massive events, there are going to be issues like this. Points. What do we establish here is that there's fewer and fewer people reporting to work at Arkham, which is getting Jeremiah Arkham overworked, and the staff that's remaining overworked and ultra stressed, and therefore there's a big responsibility within the walls of Arkham. It's housing Batman's villains, but there's less people to push back and keep law and order. So I think that's like interesting, but it just feels like it's dragging to establish those points.
I mean, to be 3 issues is a lot.
Yeah. Just do it one.
I think you could have done this in one.
Just do it in one.
I think you could have done this in backup stories.
I think I'm going to get more. I'll get more specific in the next part that we do, because that at least does have issue 2 and issue 3. And there is a really big positive that comes out of this 3-issue arc. Because I guess like a peek behind the curtain, I did continue reading to see how this one ended.
Cheater.
But I do stand by it. Like it could have just been condensed, I feel, to 1 issue. But we'll talk more about that like next time around. As these 6 issues, I mean, we may have already shown our hand. Pete, did you have a favorite of the bunch?
My favorite is probably Bruce Wayne Goes to Washington.
Well, that is technically 2 issues. So do you like the whole speech issue more?
The one where Batman kind of intimidates the senator. That's my favorite issue.
Oh, okay.
I forget which part that. It's got to be.
That's 560. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, which is the villain in Congress in 561. That I said, yeah, and who you see in that issue too in 561.
Yes.
And Batman says something to him even about like, do you have demons, Senator? And you can just see the equivalent of like he just pooped his pants. Oh! Mine would be 561, which is part 2 of that Mr. Wayne Goes to Washington, because I like the speech a lot. I like the full page drawings by Aparo for each one.
On page 1011, Bruce Wayne looks like James Armstrong.
Hold on a second. Let me see.
He's sitting there talking to the lobbyist. He's got that like smirk. Like Armstrong just fixed a wood table.
I'm trying to, because these aren't numbered.
It's one of the pages that's actually numbered. That's how I knew it was page 1011.
In the omnibus it is?
Yeah.
Oh wait, 8, 9, 10. Okay, there we go. Girl Bruce. Great guy, Bruce Wayne. I mean, I feel like this is almost the same question, because we've just talked about it so much, but I feel like that's a highlight of everything we've talked about. I was gonna say like a highlight moment of these. And I think it's the speech. The speech in Congress, well written, well done. Everything about it's good. Pete, do you have any recollection of where this is going to go as we wrap up the final 6 issues of this omnibus?
Yeah, I got an idea.
You got a good idea. Okay. Well, I know how that Arkham story wraps up, but the other stuff, we'll see. We'll sit
and then that's it. After this, we got one more, and then
never again. We'll never again do any of these for because you had me buy the No Man's Land omnibus.
I already have. I haven't taken it out of the plastic. I still have it wrapped up. I've been waiting for the first read to actually open that book. Both volumes, I think.
To commence.
Yeah, because this guy. That's it. That's it.
It's coming.
My Lauer tabs.
Oh boy. Oh yeah, I got.
I started much later.
Colors of the rainbow.
There it is.
Did you get your tabs from where I told you to go get them?
Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I have so many still. Like you'd think I used them all right here, but no. There's a ton. $1.25. What a steal.
Little sticky.
Peter, thanks for coming back. I know it's been a while.
It's been a while.
But here we are.
Hoseyman.
Yeah. We've been playing Hoseyman. Hoseyman Go. Thanks for coming back doing this.
Actually, Haas is playing Hoseyman Go.
He is. At this time, yeah, Haas is, and he's winning.
Hoseyman Go.
Second to last one. We'll be back really soon with the.
Can you believe it? It only took us like a year.
Yeah, it only took us like a year. Which is about what we expected. We expected maybe a little less, but that's okay. Go ahead and do your plugs or whatever you want.
Oh, you can find me all over social media, Twitter, Instagram, Mastodon, MySpace, LiveJournal, and Zack Snyder's favorite social media platform, Verra, at Pete Illustrated. You can follow my news-based podcast that I co-host with Hoseyman. At straight _O_G. That's Straight Outta Gotham. We have a Facebook group and a Facebook fan page. Consider joining both of those. I'm on BatmanOnFilm.com, YouTube, and Batman on Film proper. So make sure you search my name there. I got stuff, reviews of Batwoman, everyone's favorite TV show.
Hey,
so there you go. Lauer loves it. He's a big fan.
Yeah,
loves the CW. I do a Spider-Man podcast with the Carusos, Nicholas and Nico. The Italian Spider-Man Coalition. That's at Italians for Spidey on Twitter, at Team Yellow Oval, because Keaton's back and we've all been buying lots of Keaton merch. That's fun. And I think that's pretty much it, Ryan. Why don't you take it away?
And I skipped out and saying the final 6 issues and what they are. So really quick, make sure you read before, next time. Batman Shadows of the Bat, number 81. Batman Shadows of the Bat, number 82. Batman, number 562. Detective Comics, number 729. Azrael, Agent of the Bat, number 49, Pete's favorite. Azrael, Agent of the Bat, number 50, Pete's favorite.
Double Azrael.
Pete loves Azrael. Woo! There we go.
I love Dick Grayson.
There you go. All right. Make sure you check out the main feed for the Batman Book Club, wherever you get podcasts. Most recent episode is with Justin Kowalski, a nice Two-Face story.
Oh, Kowalski.
Yes, where you may not be sure of if you've read the story before, but I guarantee you know the cover. Neil Adams legend. Batman annual number 14. Yeah, UCP. He's already gushing about it. So make sure you check out the feed there. Check out Batman Book Club on Twitter and Instagram at the Batman BC. So for Peter Verra, I am Ryan Lauer, and until we return to the road to No Man's Land, we are Batman Comics.
Lawrence!